So let's look at a few more example problems where we need to understand the relationship between the angles of parallel lines. So notice first which lines are parallel, the ones with the arrows on them. So these are parallel. If we extend them infinitely, they are never going to cross each other. And the line that essentially cuts them, remember we call this line the transversal. So that's the line that cuts parallel lines. And in the last video, we looked at the different properties of these angles and how they relate to each other. So these two angles here, these are what we call corresponding angles. And corresponding angles are equal. So in this case, x is just 93 degrees. Since, again, these are what we call corresponding angles. And corresponding angles are always equal. So other relationships we can look at are that vertical angles are equal, so these would be equal as well. And notice this angle here and this one here, these are also corresponding angles. And when we compare this angle here and this angle here, we know they're equal because the corresponding angles were equal, and this is just a vertical angle to this angle. But we have a word for these. These are called alternate interior angles. And they are alternate because they're on other sides of the transversal. They're on opposite sides. And we also call them interior because they are on the inside of the two parallel lines. And likewise, this angle here and this angle here, these are equal as well. And we call these alternating exterior angles, since they're on the outside of the parallel lines and alternating because they're on opposite sides of the transversal. And the last relationship we looked at is that the two angles on the same side of the transversal on the interior, these are supplementary. So if this was y, then we can say that angle y, let me use a brighter color, angle y plus the 93-degree angle, these are 180 degrees. So these on the same side and interior, these are supplementary. So we'll use these facts when we look at the other two example problems. So let's start with this one, and we have two parallel lines with the third line intersecting them. So we can see which ones right away are parallel. And from here, notice that we have two angles that are on the same side and they're in the interior. So like I mentioned above, these are going to be supplementary. And one way to see that is that this angle here is corresponding to this angle here that we were given. So this has to be 48 degrees, and these two angles form the angle of a line. So we can set up an equation for that. We can say that the 48-degree angle plus the x-degree angle, these are equal to 180. We could have set it up from the beginning, but it's helpful to look at this in many different ways. So to solve this, we'll subtract 48 degrees on each side so that we can solve for x. And taking away 40 brings us to 140. Taking away 8 more brings us to 132. So our missing angle here is 132 degrees. And you can see that's true because if we add these two same side interior angles together, they do make 180. So let's look at just one more example problem. And with this one, we have two parallel lines again with a third line intersecting them. And let me make some space here. In some sense, we can call these same side exterior angles since they're on the outside and they're on the same side of the transversal. And to find the relationship between these, we first want to notice that this blue angle has a corresponding angle right here. So this is 131 degrees. So this blue angle and the green angle, these two combine to form the angle of a line. So they're going to add up to 180 degrees, or they're supplementary. So let's set up that equation that the green angle, the x-degree angle, plus the blue angle, the 131-degree angle, that these are going to equal 180 degrees. So let's solve this equation. We can subtract 131 on each side. And taking away 130 brings us to 50. Taking away one more brings us to 49. So this missing green angle is 49 degrees. And you can see that's true because if you add these together, you do get back 180.